Hello. Okay, I just posted something that says that nothing is wrong, but something in you is ready. And I've got to say, I think that's the hardest place to be in. And that's what makes people feel so stuck. Because if something was broken, you would fix it. Like, you're highly capable, you're a high achiever, you can take care of anything. If something is falling apart, you would act, you would do something. But if you're like looking at your life and it looks good, it's comfortable, you're doing well, you've built something that you're proud of, all of a sudden there's no urgency. And so then what ends up happening is you end up sitting in this space where you just know that something isn't fully aligned anymore. And that's where people get stuck. Not because they don't have options. I often don't even think that it's because they don't know what to do. I think we convince ourselves that we're so confused about what to do. But really, it's that you know something needs to change. You know you have a couple options on the table, and you know that the options and actually making that change would cost you something. And all of a sudden that cost makes you feel really uncomfortable. It's the cost of changing. It's the cost of disrupting what works, what has been working, what you've built your entire success on. It's the cost of possibly making the wrong move, right? That's a fear-based thing. So instead of deciding, what ends up happening is then we sit in this spiral and we just stay stuck. We overthink, we wait, we circle all the decisions, and we don't ever move. And that's what I'm like, I can't handle that anymore. I want so much more for people. I'm thinking of my friend. So I met her when I started my own entrepreneurial journey. She had been a teacher. So she'd been an educator for like 20 years. So if you can imagine, this is a woman who has tenure. Things are very stable. She's successful. She's highly respected in her school and her community. For her, everything was so good. And that's exactly what made it so hard when she started feeling this tension inside, this intuition, this nudge, this whisper, this calling. We can call it 100 different things. But she started feeling it inside that she was made for more. She didn't know what that impact was going to look like. And so she sat, as anybody would, she sat in that tension for a long time, because leaving meant things like, even in my own journey, things like walking away from security, or things like walking away from even the community that she had built, right? That's all, if all of your friends and your support, if you've been in education for 20 years, there's some deep roots there. But then she made the move. And I can tell you that without hesitation, she would tell you that her life today is so much more full, so much more alive, so much more aligned, so much more like her, like who she knows that she was always meant to be, and the work that she was always meant to do. Not to say that education in 20 years wasn't aligned. It was for a season, but that's where we get stuck. Like, we built these lives where nothing looks wrong, but we know we're ready for our next thing. We get stuck in chapters that we were supposed to walk through them, not stay and set up camp. So if you are feeling stuck, I guess what I would want you to hear is, first off, gain some clarity around, hey, you're probably not confused. You probably do know those options that you're sitting with, that you're contemplating. Maybe, just maybe, you're just not comfortable with what it might cost you. And how would I work through this? So I would give you these 3 steps. First off, like, recognize and just be radically honest with yourself about what it is. So name it. I know that, I feel that's like a term, but name it. So if you sit down at your desk to work and you feel like you're going to throw up, okay, let's just be honest. Something is probably wrong with the work that you're doing, or the company you're aligned with or whatever, maybe your job. If your spouse walks through the door and you immediately like feel anger, okay, just call it what it is. You don't have to pretend anymore for yourself or for anybody else. Like just call it what it is. There's obviously some tension, or you're stuck. There's something wrong with the relationship. So name what you have been avoiding, name that feeling. And then I want you to write down what could be the like smallest step forward that you could make. So if it's with the job, maybe it's something that you need to say, like maybe it's a boundary that you need to set. Maybe you're working way too dang many hours, and so you need to communicate about when you'll actually log on and when you will really actually log off. Maybe that's something. If it's with your relationship, maybe it's again some space that you need to give yourself to organize your thoughts on something that needs to be said, or a really tough conversation that needs to be had. And then, okay, third step is within the next 48 hours, I want you to do that thing. Do that thing before you talk yourself out of it. Do that thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be a forever thing. It just has to be one step forward, okay? You do not need to blow up your life to change it, okay? But you do need to take one courageous step forward. And if you're in the middle of this right now, I just want to let you know, like, this is the work that I'm doing. So if you were stuck in that shift of like, hey, I know something needs to change, but maybe I don't exactly know what it is, I want you to just send me a message with the word courage, and let's talk about what your next move at those crossroads, what that might look like, and how we get to the other side of it. I would love to support you. So just remember that even if nothing is wrong, if you are feeling that ache, that nudge, that whisper, that intuition, whatever it is, that something is off, then that right there is your sign that something in you is ready for your next level. All right, don't ignore it. You got this. Chat later. Bye.